Hello and welcome back to the Gaming Day. We've got another new show. We've got a lot of things to cover. I just want to quickly point out, yes, I know there's been a few audio glitches in the past few videos. I still haven't had time to figure out what's been really going on, so you've been warned. There will obviously be the captions in place if it does happen again, but just a heads up. Okay, let's go. First off, I suppose I do need to talk about it. GTA 5 has been finally released on PC, and it's been a fairly successful launch. Obviously, there was the big 60 gig download, which had taken some people quite a long time to get downloaded, specifically on slower internet speeds. Of course, it has the video editor feature, and it runs very well at 60 frames per second and all that. There have been a few little issues with the Rockstar Social Club client, but other than that, well done Rockstar on a successful GTA 5 PC port. Next up, we have some slightly less good news. Mortal Kombat X was released, and while it received very positive console launch and some pretty positive reviews, it had a less than great PC release. A lot of the features were missing, and from day one, there were very few things available. I'm fairly sure the options and all that were still available, but you couldn't access even the credits for the game. You couldn't access the crypt to the game. And the only thing you could really do in terms of actual fighting was singular combat against the AI. So, not a great launch, but I believe that patches have been rolling out progressively to try and fix this. So, not great for NetherRealm. Next up, we have typical Blizzard news, because I like to do a lot of Blizzard news. Hearthstone has popped its way onto phones, kind of out of nowhere. It has been released on iTunes and Google Play, so that is available for download. There is a new UI, and generally still looks the same and all that, and it has the Battle.net account integration, so you can still use your same account. And from what I've seen, it looks really good. The addiction to Hearthstone continues. I don't have it on my phone because I run a Windows phone, but from what I've seen, no, it's really good. Great job, Blizzard. Continuing with Blizzard, we also have World of Warcraft patch 6.2 has hit the public test realm, and with it have come a bunch of new features that have kind of been sort of pushed into the forefront. So we have new features on the garrisons, which include like ship battles and naval features and all that, so that's really cool. And we also have a way to make older dungeons relevant again, which is a feature I really think is cool, and I think it's going to get a lot of use, because what they're going to be doing, it's called time walking. I just had to check the notes there. Time walking, you essentially, every weekend, Blizzard is going to assign a random dungeon and will give it a new heroic difficulty to match, I imagine, level 100. So it will essentially make it relevant for the weekend. You will play that dungeon and it will be a challenge. So that's something I really think is a great thing to have implemented, and it allows people to just play the dungeons at a higher difficulty. Now, I really like racing games. I really enjoy racing games. Forza, Formula 1, Gran Turismo, Colin McRae Dirt, stuff like that. And the next one that seems to be coming up is Project Cars, and that's one that's kind of been delayed repeatedly, but it has a final release date of May the 8th. And that's not the only Project Car news I wanted to talk about. It said that Project Cars will support 12K resolution. That's utterly amazing. That amazes me. But there's one small thing. 12K monitors don't exist yet. 4K monitors, they exist. 12K, not quite. So I think that kind of shows the longevity that Project Cars is hoping for. And 4K resolution in itself requires a lot of money to achieve. You are very much throwing money at your computer if you want to achieve 4K resolution. But no, 12K resolution support for Project Cars, so that's going to be pretty interesting. Next up, we have some bad news, I'm afraid. 2K Australia, the Australian division of the big publisher, has closed down, and all of its employees reportedly have been laid off. 2K Australia most recently worked on Borderlands the pre-sequel, but also did a bunch of other work. There have been problems in Australia with the games industry, with games not being allowed to be released in Australia, or like kind of censorship sort of things, and it's a sad day for 2K and for those developers in general. My thoughts go out to them and their families, and I hope they find a job soon. Next up, we have some more news on Deus Ex Mankind Divided, which I talked about last week and said I was pretty hyped for. News about the features progressively coming out, and in a conversation over Twitter, it was said that murder, killing people, is optional. And in Human Revolution, it was also the same case, except for the bosses. Well, in this case, murdering the bosses is also optional. So I think that's great in really allowing freedom in what you do and how that can affect the game. Personally, for me, that's not going to be my approach. I imagine that when I play Deus Ex, it is very much going to be gun-ho, I will be a force to be reckoned with. Because I think, to me, that is a fun way to play games. To be a force to be reckoned with. So, I think it's great. What about you? Now, I called this a few weeks, maybe months ago. There's a new Guitar Hero. It's happening. After about 4 years or so, a new Guitar Hero has been announced. Of course, I mentioned it, that there were rumours from Kotaku, and I think there were suggestions that it was going to be revealed at E3, but of course it's not E3 time yet, so I think they just want to jump the gun a bit and announce it now. Probably have something to do with Rock Band also returning, so they're both coming back at the same time. The two titans of rhythm gaming, if you will, are both making a comeback for kind of autumn, Christmas time. So yeah, and they're replacing the CG backdrop with a live audience, with a pre-recorded live audience that reacts to how you're playing, which is kind of interesting because anxieties. That's going to be very interesting. New peripheral as well. They're ditching the 5-button brightly coloured buttons in favour of 6 buttons, which is 3. There's 2 rows of 3, which I find quite interesting. I feel like it's kind of, maybe they're trying to emulate closer to what playing a guitar is actually like, so I didn't just flip you off, I swear. I didn't mean to do that. Trying to emulate what playing a guitar is like, so that's pretty cool. And yeah, watch out for that. Before I move on, one more point about Guitar Hero. It's said to be not necessarily an annual release, but will have a steady stream of DLC. So I imagine this will be certain song packs and maybe just certain songs released throughout its lifetime, maybe giving it longevity. So it depends on what kind of pricing model they hope to do for that. Now, I am a fan of Godzilla, as you can tell by that poster. That one there. And I'm kind of a fan of kaiju stuff, because while I might not have watched the Japanese Godzilla films, but I want to, I have seen Pacific Rim, and I love that film. So, you'll imagine the warm feelings in my heart when I find out that there is a Godzilla game coming out. Not based off that film, but just kind of a city brawler type thing with all different kinds of creatures from the Godzilla universe. So you have like Mecha Godzilla, you have actual Mothran, you have all these kinds of things in the Godzilla universe, and it's going to be in kind of this beat 'em up fashion with a huge scale where you can be like destroying the city, or these energy generator things, and it's just, the trailer is magnificent. I will link to it in the description for you to just watch and absorb, and it looks awful, but it looks fantastic, if you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, you get it. So, yeah, prepare to have a new guilty pleasure in gaming. And finally, one more thing I suppose I should talk about. A little game called Star Wars Battlefront. That got, like, a trailer. So yeah, that was a thing. Oh, wait, you want me to talk about Star Wars Battlefront? Oh, right. Okay, well, Star Wars Battlefront. So the trailer came out with the Star Wars Celebration, which was kind of already known. Looks like an EA game. It looks like a Battlefield reskin. And that kind of sucks. The character models don't look that great. The textures and details, though, they look really good. And there's kind of been sort of steady details flowing out. It's said to not be It's said to be only multiplayer, which is kind of disappointing. It's said to be focusing on planetary battles, not space battles. You can play as Darth Vader, though, so that's pretty cool. And there's been some people who've been digging around the source code for the website that's hinting at a 17th of November of this year release for PS4, Xbox One, and of course PC. However, it has been suggested that there is going to be some kind of early access on Xbox One. So that's been another news show. Other videos coming sometime. I know I keep saying that, but I've had a rough week or so there's been that. But yeah, I'm the Gaming Dave. I'll see you next time.